All right, here we go. Let's play the Ring Goes South. So this will be my third and final video for the Fellowship of the Ring Saga repackaging that was given to me by FFG, and then I am going to be giving to one of you. So I had asked in the first video, what thematic moment, character, attachment, anything from the Fellowship of the Ring were you the most excited for when you get this product on your gaming table? And we had a ton of answers. And I want to thank everybody who entered, and I'm sorry about the spam bot that replied to everybody and told everybody they won. That was a fun morning I had. But anyway, let's get to the winner. So the winner of this Fellowship of the Ring Saga expansion is Sean G. So congratulations. All right, let's take a look at this video. So what I am doing is I'm going to play my favorite quest, the Ring Goes South. So this is my favorite quest in the game, and a lot of people were saying how they wanted to see a Gandalf deck, and other people were saying they wanted to see a Hobbit deck. So I made a deck using Gandalf and Hobbits. So here we go. We got Pippin. So he's 6 threat and lore, and then when I engage an enemy with a higher engagement than my threat, I get to draw a card, and he's also boosting the engagement cost of every enemy by 1 for each Hobbit hero I control. We have Gandalf, of course, amazing stats. And then he's going to let me play with my top card of my deck face up. And then he can play that card once per phase. And when he does so, he's considered to have all of the sphere icons except for Fellowship and Baggins, because that's not a sphere. And then I'm also bringing Black Rider's Frodo. So this is Black Rider's Frodo. He came with the first of the 2 boxes that were combined in this one product. And so he's going to let me exhaust the 1 ring, spend one of his resources, which are Fellowship resources and can be only spent on Fellowship cards. I spend that resource, exhaust the 1 ring, and then I can shuffle back in an encounter card just revealed. So if I reveal something I really don't want to see, I can shuffle it back into the deck and then, of course, just reveal it again, because that's how it works. And then, well, I hope you like your hobbits with extra fat, because I brought Fatty. Yep. You know, he wasn't included in any of the pre-built decks that they showed in the rulebook, and I kind of poo-pooed on him in my first video, but I only poo-pooed on his ability, so let's just go like this. There we go. I'm going to hide his ability. You basically raise your threat to cancel the threat of an enemy up in staging, so it can help you quest, but the ability isn't that great. What's great is his stats, really. I wanted access to Spirit, and he's just a 7 threat hero. Gives me access to Spirit, works with Pippin's ability, helps me pay for Spirit cards, and, you know, with 2 defense and 3 hit points, if I get a Hobbit cloak on him, he's defending for 4. Well, that's pretty good. So he's not terrible. It's just his ability isn't that great. But as far as everything else, he's fine. He's fine. I just don't use him very much, and neither does a lot of people in the community, because if you're going to splash in a Spirit hero, there is Spirit Glorfindel and Spirit Frodo if you're not playing one of these saga quests. So, you know, he just gets overlooked a lot. But let's bring him along. Come on, Fatty. Come join the fun. All right, so the Ring Goes South. But I know people are going to ask about it, so this is a custom play mat we had made for our patron supporters. It's actually a 2-player mat, so your friend across the table could be playing over there. It's got the number line to track threat and willpower, and actually we gave our supporters 2 of these, so there's also one of the Blue Wizards and Radagast. So if you support our podcasts on Patreon, you can get the custom swag we have made every year. So we make it, we keep it a surprise, and then we give it to all of our patron supporters in October. So if you start supporting us at the $5 or $10 an episode level, you will be eligible to get whatever swag we make for 2023. We do 1 episode every 3 weeks, so you would get charged about every 3 weeks. All right, let's get to the quests. So we begin the quest at the Council of Elrond 1A. Setup, we're going to set the Lust for the Ring, the Redhorn Pass, the Doors of Durin, and the Watcher in the Water aside out of play. We give the encounter deck a shuffle. And then on side 1B, we do the Council of Elrond, which is so much fun. So we do a planning phase, and then each player places the top card of their deck face up in front of them in player order until there are 4 face-up cards. So in a solo game, you will put 4 cards face up in front of you. Then we can choose to put 1 card in play at no cost. We're going to add 1 to our hand. We're going to add 1 to the discard pile. And we're going to shuffle 1 back into our deck. Then we have to decide if we're going to shuffle Lust for the Ring into the deck, or raise our threat by 5. So the Council of Elrond is just a blast. It's so much fun. And I realized I forgot to put the ring in play, so let's put the ring in play. All right, so now Frodo has the ring. And let's draw our opening hand and take a mulligan if we want to. We get to have the top card of the deck face up, thanks to Gandalf. I really want to find the Wizard Pipe, because if I can get the Wizard Pipe in play, then any expensive card I have in my hand that I want to play for free, I can put on top of my deck, because the Council of Elrond happens after planning. Speaking of Elrond, there he is on top of my deck, and there's a card I'd like to get in play for free. All right, we got a couple dwarves, another copy of Elrond. Okay, well, Bilbo would find me the pipe, but I have no way of generating 2 spirit resources. If I could generate 2 spirit resources somehow, like if I had Gandalf's staff, then I could play Bilbo, and then I would be short 1 resource, I think, because I'd have to do 2 neutral, 2 spirit. No, I could still play the pipe because it would be neutral. Yeah, so that would have worked, but I don't have... Man, it's hard to shuffle without sleeves. I don't have a way to get Bilbo into play, so I'm going to shuffle that away. That was actually not really a good opening hand anyway. I wasn't too thrilled with it. So let's give it a shuffle, and yeah, I want to find the Wizard Pipe. That'd be really fun, but even just knowing what my top card is makes it good. Elrond really wants to come into play. All right, so here's my next 6 cards. We saw him before. There's a pipe, but it's the wrong one. Nice expensive card. And another copy of the Hammersmith and Flame of Anor. Wow, I am not thrilled with this hand at all. This really isn't great. Yep, I'm not too happy with that. Okay, and let's draw Elrond when we start the game here. So 27th threat I'm starting with, and Elrond comes into my hand, and the card on top is, well, okay. I mean, when I do the Council of Elrond, I know Boromir is going to be one of the 4 cards, so that's pretty good. Let's give a Hobbit Pipe to Pippin. So if I play a threat reduction event, I can exhaust the Hobbit Pipe and draw a card. So yeah, this hand is pretty expensive, and really a bunch of cards I don't want to play, even if I could afford them, because their enter play abilities don't make much sense. All right, let's do the Council of Elrond. So we're going to take the top 4 cards of the deck and put them out. So one of them is Boromir. He's going to be a great choice to put in for free if I can. We have an Unexpected Courage, Gandalf's Staff, and my last copy of the Erebor Hammersmith. Good golly. Well, I have Erebor Hammersmiths in hand, so that makes this kind of interesting, because what I'm going to do is put Boromir in for free, of course. Then I can add 1 to the discard pile, shuffle 1 in, and add 1 to my hand. So whatever attachment I put in my discard pile, one of my Hammersmiths I have in hand can grab it when I play it. So let's put the staff in the discard pile. Let's shuffle in this Hammersmith, and let's put Unexpected Courage into my hand. So, I mean, that worked out really great, because even the card I discarded, I'm going to get into my hand. So that is wonderful. Lust for the Ring is pretty terrible, but I don't want to raise my threat by 5. Instead, I'll shuffle it in, because I'm playing Black Rider's Frodo. He can maybe get rid of it, or I have condition removal. Okay, 2A, the 9 Walkers. Okay, when revealed, make Red Horn pass the active location. The first player reveals cards from the encounter deck until there's at least X threat in the staging area, where X is twice the number of players in the game. So reveals cards is important there. You would have to do Surge, Doomed, anything. But instead, we just get a nice little location. It is a 2-threat Hills of Holland, so it's the only one we have to reveal. 4 progress to clear it. While it's the active location, each enemy in the staging area gets +5 engagement costs. Forced, when Hills of Holland is explored, each player raises their threat by 1 for each damage here. So yes, remember, this quest, we're placing damage on location. It represents us sneaking around. So side 2B, 8 progress needed. During the travel phase, we must travel to a location if able, and then forced. After an enemy engages a player, place 1 damage on the active location, if able. So it doesn't matter if it's optional or through engagement effects. If we engage an enemy, we're placing a damage on the active location. So that is really a cool mechanic. It really does feel like you're sneaking around, and anytime you get spotted, you're going to place a damage on the active location, which does something bad. Gladrium's Greeting is now on top of our deck, and I don't think I showed the Red Horn Pass, so it's 4 threat, 6 progress. If you're new to the game, remember, threat doesn't matter while it's the active location. It's immune to player card effects. It's a mountain. Then forced, when it's explored, each player assigns X damage among characters they control, where X is the amount of damage here. Okay, that makes sense. Super thematic. All right, let's go questing. So we're going to send Pippin, Gandalf, and Frodo. So that's going to be a total of 7. We are currently against 2. Yep, let's send Fatty. Let's send some extra fat. All right, so let's make it 8 against 2. Maybe we can clear this thing.
Crabine from Dunland.
All right, 28 engagement, 3 threat. Peril, so in a multiplayer game, whichever player was responsible for revealing this has to make this choice. When revealed, either exhaust a hero you control or engage Crabine from Dunland. And then forced, after it engages me, reveal the top card of the encounter deck. Pretty nasty because it's 3 threat. And then, yeah, I mean, it's not attacking for much, but now we have to place a damage on the active location because we're getting engaged. But this is one of those cards that could ready Sam, and then you could optionally engage an enemy in the staging area in the normal engagement phase. So I had talked about getting multiple uses out of Sam's ability in the same round. I do get to draw a card because he has more engagement than my threat. He's higher, and Pippin also is boosting it. So I drew a card from Pippin, and now Unexpected Courage is on top of the deck, and then we have to reveal a card, and it's Bitter Cold. Okay, so raise your threat by 1 for each ally you control. Fine. Yeah, whatever. That was nothing. Okay. The other choice was discard each ally I control. So at the end of the game, you know, if your threat is too high, you might have no choice but have to discard all of your allies. But look at that. We made 6 progress. So we had 1 damage on the Red Horn pass because we engaged an enemy. Let's put that on a hero because I do have a way to heal damage off of heroes, and that goes into victory display. We have to travel, so now this place is actually pretty nice. Enemies get +5 engagement, and then we have to raise our threat when we explore it based on damage. Okay, so we have some crows. They're just attacking for 1. I mean, I could take it undefended, and then Boromir could kill it, but why take the risk? You know, some of these shadows are pretty nasty, so I had thought about it. I thought about taking it undefended. I really did. And then I decided, nah, I'll have Boromir defend it. So he gets +2 defense against the enemy if a higher engagement. Undefended damage from this attack must be assigned as damage to the active location. There we go. I made a good call there. So no damage, and we're engaged with Crabine from Dunland. We're going to go into the next round. Now we have some resources. Now we can do some stuff. Another Unexpected Courage. We have lots of courage. All right, we got the Wizard of Oz here handing out courage. Okay, so let's play the Erebor Hammersmith, and when you play him from your hand, he returns the topmost attachment in your discard pile to your hand. So that's great. So here comes Gandalf's staff. He's going to give us some options. We can exhaust it to put a resource in somebody's resource pool, discard a shadow from a non-unique enemy, or draw a card. So I'm going to put this marker on Gandalf to say I'm using his ability. So I've used his ability now to pay for the top card of my deck, which was Unexpected Courage. So now the top card is a Miner of the Iron Hill, and I only can use Gandalf's ability once per phase. So it's usually the planning phase. I have trouble remembering if I've used his ability or not. Okay, so he has a staff. He can ready. Yep, Gandalf is Gandalfing. I just need a pipe. All right, so if I send Gandalf, Pippin, and Frodo, and then ready Gandalf, we get Snowdrifts attached to the active location. Limit 1. We can't place more than 3 progress there. So that's not a big deal. So we just have to stay at the Hills of Holland for a little bit. And, you know, it's bad if it's collecting a bunch of damage each round, but right now we're not engaging anything. Okay, let's have Boromir defend again. +1, +2 if it was engaged this round. Okay, Boromir doesn't take any damage, and then we are going to be able to kill it. So remember, Boromir gets +2 defense when defending against an enemy of a higher engagement. So I'm going to exhaust the staff. I'm going to give that resource to Fatty, because I have lots of spirit cards I want to play. And we're going to go into the next round. All right, next turn. Well, the one thing with Gandalf is you're never surprised with what you're drawing, and you know, sometimes that's kind of fun to see what you're going to draw. But what's next? Strength of Will. Exhaust a spirit character when you travel to a location to place 2 progress. See, that's a good one to leave on top of the deck because Gandalf could play it in the quest phase. All right, sending on the quest. Let's make some progress. And the card we get is, all right, the Redhorn Foothills, 4 threat. Yikes. 5 progress while it's the active. Forced, after an enemy is added to the staging area, gets -5 engagement cost at the end of the round. And then forced, when it's explored, each player must discard X random cards from their hands, where X is the amount of damage. Okay, 4 threat was a lot, so we are going to make 4, which means we place the 1 remaining and then 3 on the quests. All right, 3 out of 8. So those 2 cards go away. There was no damage on it, so we didn't have to do anything. And now we can travel. And we have a spirit hero ready. It's Fatty. That was kind of one of the tricks I was thinking of doing, because if I didn't need him to defend, he's not a good quester, so Strength of Will works really well with him. And this quest in general, you want to clear locations as fast as possible. Like, you don't want them to be the active location, if at all. So staging area stuff, placing progress when it's the active is great. All right, the staff gave Fatty a resource. I drew Frodo's Intuition, which is great. I was looking for that card, so now I'm going to get some good card draw and some good willpower boost. So let's add the resources, and then the top card of my deck is now another staff. Okay, I don't need that. Okay, Frodo's Intuition is great. You only can use Fellowship resources to pay for it, but all my heroes are going to get +1 willpower, and then I draw 1 card for each Hobbit hero. So let's do that. The +1 willpower is to the end of the round. I'm going to put that up there to remind me that that is active. Ooh, and we draw the Fellowship of the Ring. Oh, there we go, and a Hobbit cloak. All right, we really need the pipe. Ha! And there's Bilbo. All right, man, I drew a lot of cards before I hit one of my 3 copies of Bilbo and one of my 3 copies of the pipe. I figured with 6 of 50 cards being a card that gets me the pipe, I would have hit it sooner. Okay, so we spent Gandalf's resources to put Bilbo into play, and he's going to find me the Wizard's Pipe, and then you give the deck a shuffle, which is it's also nice to play a card that shuffles your deck when you don't like the top card of your deck. You know, it gives you a chance of getting something else. But yeah, Bilbo's great. He's going to be able to quest for 2, and now the top card is my healing. Okay, that's good. So I can't use Gandalf. See, that token really helps remind you that you already used Gandalf's ability, so putting a token on him is very useful. Okay, the Wizard Pipe lets you do a swap. So I'm going to spend Pippin's resource to get the Wizard Pipe into play. There's no point in triggering it because I've already used Gandalf's ability, unless I wanted to put an event on top of my deck. An event that I might want to play in a different phase. I could play the Fellowship of the Ring, but that says if after a character is destroyed, it leaves play. So that would be anybody's character. And so it's kind of risky. So you only want to play it when you know you're going to be able to keep it around for a few rounds. All right, Gladrim's Greeting instead makes more sense. So let's drop my threat by 6 so we can keep triggering Pippin and Boromir. So being able to keep your threat low really helps a lot of these cards trigger. Next round, I should be able to get that Hobbit Cloak on Fatty. And another reason I didn't want to play Fellowship of the Ring is then I would have no Fellowship resources to trigger Frodo's ability. And remember, you can't do an action like exhaust Gandalf's staff to give him a resource in the middle of a card being revealed. Frodo's got to have the resource on him when you start the staging step. All right, let's go questing. Everybody is boosted by 1. That's a hero. I'm up against nothing and a 2 threat enemy. Okay, fine. This is actually really perfect because I made enough progress to clear the location and advance the quests. And as you will see, not having an active location is really good. So I'm glad I don't have a location to travel to right now. 3A, the hunt is up. When revealed, each player searches the encounter deck and discard pile for 1 enemy and adds it to the staging area. One of those enemies must be the Great Warg Chief, if able. Then shuffle the encounter deck. All right, we're about to have some pretty good combat here. So let's find this Great Warg Chief. He's not very nice. Oh man, that lure for Lust of the Ring or whatever it is was way down at the bottom, but now it could get shuffled to the top. All right, got the Great Warg Chief. Man, I am not used to shuffling cards without sleeves. They shuffle a lot harder. Okay, the Great Warg Chief isn't very nice, but let's take a look at side 3B. 12 progress needed, and then during the travel phase, the players have to travel. After a location is revealed from the encounter deck, place 1 damage on it. After you engage an enemy, place 1 damage on the active location. So lots more damage going on in these locations. The quest is ramping up. Alright, the Great Warg Chief. 30 engagement, 4/5/3/6, cannot have attachments, he's unique. And then forced, after he engages you, discard cards from the encounter deck until a Warg enemy is discarded. Put that enemy into play engaged with you. So this is why not having an active location is really good, because if I engage him and then I have to engage another enemy, that means a lot of damage would have went on that active location. All right, Pippin draws me a card. The very next card was a Warg, so Pippin's going to get another card. Remember, Pippin's boosting all these enemies' engagement by 3. Hobbit Pipe now on top of the deck. And yeah, let's do some combat. This is going to be a little dangerous. Okay, how do I want to handle this? Boromir defends for 3 against an enemy if a higher engagement cost than mine, so he defends against the Warg Chief. +1 if it destroys a character. Okay, it does not. Boromir almost dies, and I couldn't get rid of the Shadow card because the Great Warg Chief is unique. So that readies Boromir because he took damage, so that was part of my plan. Now let's see if this Hammersmith can live. So this wolf is attacking for 3, and he would place a damage on the active when he attacks, but there is none. All right, no shadow, so the Hammersmith actually lives. That's why I did not want to play Fellowship of the Ring, because I knew I was probably going to have some pretty decent combat here. Now, can I kill both of these? Gandalf for 3, Boromir for 3, and then 2 from the Hobbits. That makes me 1 short. So it's time to be a wizard and do some trickery. So I am going to use the Wizard Pipe to put Gandalf's Staff on top of my deck, because that's a 2-cost card instead of a 0-cost card. And then I need to have Gandalf exhausted. So Gandalf is going to attack the Howling Warg, and he's going to be joined by Fatty. So then after you declare characters and as attackers, there's an action window that opens up that lets you modify their attack values. So what I'm going to do is spend 1 resource and play Flame of Anor. And Flame of Anor will ready Gandalf. Then I discard the Gandalf Staff off the top of my deck and give Gandalf +2 attack. And that means they are attacking for a combined total of 6, which is exactly what I needed to take out the Howling Warg. And now Gandalf is ready, and he still has the +2 attack because it is +X attack until the end of the phase. So with Gandalf attacking for 5, Frodo for 1, Boromir for 3, that is just enough to take out the Great Warg Chief, and that was pretty good because we were able to take out both enemies, and Flame of Anor is awesome. So that was very cool, and yeah, let's go into the next round. Gandalf's Staff got me a resource on Pippin, and then I forgot to flip the card over, so it'll be a surprise, and it's Faramir, okay? So we draw Faramir, and then another Flame of Anor is available to be played. All right, cool. Let's play another Hobbit Pipe. Fatty's going to smoke himself thin. All right, I haven't used Gandalf yet. All right, let's get the Daughter of the Nimmerdale into play. Or I could do Elrond. I think I'd rather get the Daughter of the Nimmerdale because she can just keep healing heroes if I need her to. So she'll come in. You can exhaust her to heal 2 damage on a hero. I wish it was any character because Boromir could use some healing. All right, there's 2 threat and staging. And do I want to play that Fellowship of the Ring? Maybe. Okay, let's see. So let me use Gandalf's Pipe. I'm gonna do what I said and put Hobbit Cloak on top of the deck, and then Hobbit Cloak can be paid for by Gandalf and put on Fatty. So Fatty is now defending for 4 against an enemy with a higher engagement than mine. There's Elfstone. I've been looking for that. So I need a location. Now I'd like a location to come out so I can play Elfstone. And as tempting as it is to play the Fellowship of the Ring, I really would like to save it for the final stage and get the big willpower boost for that final stage. Because right now I'm in a good spot. And the final stage is, as you can imagine, it's difficult. It's definitely difficult. All right, Gandalf commits to the quest and then readies. So he's sending his 3, Pippin 2, Frodo 2, Bilbo 2. Okay, that's going to put me at 9. I'm up against 2. And
Crabine from Dunland!
All right, so I might as well engage it. That draws me a card. And then there's no active location, so that's good. But now I gotta reveal a card from engaging him. And we get, there's a location. So a 3-threat Tree-Crowned Hill. Okay. I'm okay traveling there. Now let's not forget, when I when I reveal a location or an enemy, I'm supposed to be damaging stuff. So there was no location in play when the Crabine was revealed, but the location got revealed, and that gets a damage. All right, so right now I only made 4 progress. That's not very much. I need to make 8 more, and let's travel, because we have to. All right, so if I engage this warg, that means I have to put a damage on this location when it attacks. And when I engage it. Oh, man. All right, I don't want to do that. So this guy is just attacking for 1. Boromir, you should be able to handle this. +1, +2 if it was engaged this round. Okay, well, it was still a 3 attack, and Boromir was defending for 3. And then Gandalf by himself can take him out. And I haven't used the staff yet, so let's give a resource to Pippin, because I know I'm going to want to play that Elfstone. And yeah, okay, let's go into the next round after I do some healing with the Daughter of Nimberdell. I'm going to have to exhaust characters when that tree-crowned hill is explored. But I'm going to make it a little harder to explore by putting Elfstone on it, +1 quest point, but then I get to put an ally into play from my hand. And then in the quest phase, I'm going to play Smoke Rings and give each of my heroes with a pipe +1 willpower. And I have 3 pipes, so I get to drop my threat by 3. And because that was a threat reduction event, my 2 Hobbit pipes trigger. So that was pretty good. So let's make sure I trigger both of them. I kind of forgot I had 3 pipes. Another Smoke Rings on top of the deck. Okay. And I got a Strength of Will in my hand. This is good. All right, let's make sure I pay for that. There we go. Okay. So if I clear this location, I'm going to put in Faramir. And so Gandalf, Pippin, and Fatty are all questing for 2. I put the pipe on Fatty on purpose, even though you might think, well, I thought Frodo's questing and Fatty's defending. You'll see why I didn't want to put any cards on Frodo. Okay, so I am questing for a decent amount, and then we get, oh boy, Storm of Howls, Peril. Either the warg enemy in the staging area with the highest engagement makes an attack against me, or it gets -20 engagement. I'll just give it -20 engagement. So he was just going to come down and get me. Okay, let's see how much progress I made. A lot, because I didn't add any threat. So we're going to make 12 progress. So we do clear the active. And now we are up to 9 on the quest out of 12. Great. Okay, so I need to exhaust somebody. Oh, I read that wrong. I placed a damage. My bad. Okay, I thought it said place a damage on somebody. So I could have exhausted the Hammersmith, I guess. And then now Faramir is going to come into play. So Elfstone got Faramir for me. Sorry I made that mistake. And I'm going to make a couple more mistakes because as soon as I engage this guy, I don't trigger Pippin because he has -20, and then I forgot. So I defended with Boromir, but Boromir is only defending for 1 and would die. So I should have defended with Gandalf, who is defending for 3. So let's pretend, because obviously I would have done it the way that wouldn't have killed somebody. I would have defended with Gandalf and got rid of the shadow, so Gandalf would take no damage. And then I would have only had Boromir and Faramir ready, the brothers, and I would have been able to do 2 damage. So, I mean, at the end of the day, the only thing that actually really changed is I'm going to place an extra damage on this warg, and I put a damage on Frodo, and I shouldn't have. So these are the kind of mistakes, if you recorded your own videos, or games, I mean, you would notice mistakes like these when you play. Like, I rarely have a game where I play it perfect. There's always some mistake that I catch in editing, and it happens all the time. So I used to worry about it, but now I don't, because it's impossible to be perfect. And in this case, it really didn't affect anything. Okay, so let's go into the next round. I just need to make 3 progress, so I'm not going to be sending too much on the quest. I would really love a Frodo's Intuition, and instead I have another Strength of Will on top of the deck. All right. Dang. All right, let's play the Erebor Hammersmith so I can grab that Elfstone out of my discard pile. No active location, but at least I get an effect from him coming in. I need to get allies on the table because, as you will see, you're going to need some allies when you go to this final stage. And I guess I will just play another Smoke Rings. So I will use the pipe to put Smoke Rings on top of the deck. That's pretty thematic. And then Gandalf can pay for it. And once again, my heroes with pipes get +1 willpower. And then I'm going to drop my threat by 3. And 2 Hobbit pipes draw me 2 cards. Beorn. All right, and some more threat reduction. And on top is another Elf Stone. All right. I kind of wish it was an expensive card. I really wish Beorn was on top of my deck, to be honest. And I already used the Wizard Pipe. And I'm going to pause the video here because the Hobbit Pipes have a response, which I don't have to trigger. So if I had just flipped over that card because of Gandalf and seen what it would have been Beorn. I could have just decided not to trigger a Hobbit Pipe, and then I could have kept Beorn on top of my deck. So don't forget, responses are always optional. Okay, let's send 9 on the quest. My heroes with pipes are boosted. I just need to make 3 progress, and I'm currently up against nothing, so let's make sure I do it. This is a great time to advance if I can. And we get, Bitter Cold. Each player must choose. Either discard each ally or raise my threat by the number of allies. Well, it's a good thing I've been dropping my threat like crazy because raising it right now really didn't hurt much. So we're up to 28. We added no threat, which is really good. I didn't want an enemy coming out right now. All right, let's advance to stage 4, the Gates of Moria. When revealed, make the Doors of Durin the active location. Add the Watcher in the Water to the staging area. Discard all tokens from the Ring Bearer and place it and each card attached to it face down under the Watcher in the Water. Yep, so this is how they decided to do this mechanic. I know a lot of people were excited to see what happened with the Watcher. So he's going to grab Frodo and he loses all of his tokens, including a damage token. So that's why it didn't matter I damaged him. All right, so the Watcher in the Water is coming in. Frodo is now out of play. He's not destroyed. He's just out of play. The Watcher in the Water is 50 engagement, 5/6, 5/12. Creature, indestructible and immune. It cannot leave the staging area, but it is considered to be engaged with each player and then forced. After placing the 6th damage here, the first player takes control of the Ring Bearer, exhausted with 1 damage on it. So the Watcher's grabbing Frodo, and I got to damage him with 6 damage, and then I get Frodo back. All right, the Doors of Durin. 9 progress, immune. Progress must be placed on each other active location before it can be placed here. Progress cannot be placed here unless you control the Ring Bearer. If there is 9 or more damage here, the players lose the game. 4B, the Gates of Moria, no progress needed. There can be 2 active locations. During the travel phase, the players must travel to a location if able. Forced, after an enemy engages the player, place 1 damage on each active location. If the Doors of Durin are explored, we win the game. So first, we got to get Frodo back. That means we're going to deal 6 damage to the Watcher. Once we've dealt 6 damage to the Watcher, we get Frodo back, and then we can place progress on the Doors of Durin. But if there's another active location, we got to place the progress there first. Okay, this guy's attacking for a lot, so we're going to chump that. Erebor Hammersmith's going to jump in front of this. I got to discard a non-objective attachment I control. All right, I will get rid of one of my pipes. Those are easy to get rid of. There we go. And then the Hammersmith, of course, does not do well against the Watcher. He is absolutely destroyed. And then now this Warg is going to attack. And when it attacks, it places a damage on the active location. So let's have Fatty defend. And then we're going to get rid of the shadow of the staff. Okay, there was no shadow. So Fatty defended. I should have placed a damage on the Doors of Durin there. I definitely have enough attack to kill that Howling Warg, but even if I used Flame of Anor to ready Gandalf after he attacked, a +1 boost is just not worth it. So I'm going to wait to do 1 big massive attack and get the 6 damage on the Watcher all at once next round, hopefully by putting Beorn on top of my deck. All right, let's go into the next round. Okay, Gleowine's on top of my deck, so what I'm going to be doing is, with all these cards, Wizard Pipe, and I'm going to put Beorn on top of my deck. And then I'm going to spend 2 spirit resources and give Gandalf another unexpected courage. So I'm all set up for a big combat phase. I can't place progress on anything because I don't have the Ring Bearer. So I only need to quest over whatever's being revealed and 5 threat. So let's send Bilbo for 2, the Healer for 1, Pippin for 2, that's 5, Gandalf for 3, that's 8, 8 against 5, that's fine. Okay, a Surging Hound of Sauron. And then a 3-threat Eregion. Alright, so I added 4 threat, which means I'm underquesting by 1. I could actually exhaust Fatty and raise my threat to cancel 1 threat. Or I could just raise my threat because I underquested. So that's why Fatty's ability sometimes is just like, well, what's the point? So Fatty is still ready, and I have Strength of Will in my hand, and I know I don't need Fatty. So I'm going to play it later because I just forgot I had it. So I would have exhausted Fatty, played Strength of Will, and placed 2 progress on that location, which I will do later. All right, let's travel to Eregion. So this place kind of sucks. When it's explored, you discard allies equal to the number of damage there. I do not need to engage the Hound of Sauron because he is at 40. Actually, he's 42, thanks to Pippin. All right, Gandalf can defend this. So it's an attack of 6 against a defense of 3. I cannot get rid of the shadow. Whew, okay, no attack boost, so that's good. So I'm going to take 3 damage, and then I can ready to attack. So I'm attacking for 3, Boromir for 3, Faramir for 1, the Hammersmith for 1, and then now that I'm exhausted, I'm going to play the Flame of Anor and ready myself and boost my attack by the top card of my deck, which is a 6-cost Beorn. So Gandalf just got a huge attack boost for this attack, and that means I'm attacking for a total of 14, which means I'm definitely dealing the 6 damage to the Watcher. So the Flame of Anor Beorn combo is very fun to pull off. So now that we've damaged the Watcher enough, I am going to get Frodo back. He comes back exhausted with 1 damage on him. And now that I have Frodo, I'm allowed to progress through all these location points that I got to get through. All right, Bilbo on top of my deck. All right, so hopefully the next round I can just make enough progress and escape into the mines where everything will be great. All right, we're going for a big willpower push here, a YOLO quest. So I'm going to use the staff to give Frodo 1 more resource so I can play Fellowship of the Ring to give my heroes +1 willpower. So that's 4 more willpower I'm adding. I also have Faramir who can boost everybody's willpower. So I have the progress on that 1 location that I should have done last round. I will play Gleowine, he quests for 1, and Faramir will boost him, so that's 2 more willpower. All right, I added 6 willpower, which I think is the most I can do. So let's go. I'm currently up against 6. I got to get 11 progress made. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And then everybody will get boosted, so that'll be a boost of 9. So once I exhaust Faramir, that'll be a total of 27. I mean, yeah, that seems pretty good. 27 against 6 once it's all said and done. And all right, cool. Just a 2-threat location. So we are good there. And Faramir does the boost. Okay, and that is enough progress. So we have successfully made it into the Mines of Moria, which means we completed this quest. So there you go. That was one of the 6 quests you get in this Fellowship of the Ring Saga expansion. Extremely fun. This is a great quest. And I hope you enjoyed this video, everybody. So that wraps up my 3-video segment of the unboxing and playing one of the quests of this expansion. Congratulations to the winner again. And I look forward to seeing everybody on the channel, on our Discord, Facebook groups. Support us if you want to get some of this amazing swag we make every year. All right, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.